Well, I'm glad to have Tommy back on our show. He's and I've been friends for a long time, kind of distant friends for a while, and then we got to make a lot of trips fishing. And I'm probably a little bit better fisherman than Tommy is, but uh,
Wait a minute, Wimp. Wait a minute, Wimp. I just have a flashback. 8 or 9 years ago, Ketchikan, Alaska, on a small boat plane. We fly out to these boats on these little islands. The water's rough. It's about 40 degrees, fishing for halibut. How many did you catch?
I don't know. I saw a couple.
You saw a couple. I get sick on that water too. I never, me and you about froze and about died of seasickness out there.
It
Remember
was
that?
awful. I wanted to be home in the bed, didn't you?
Oh, cold,
Yeah.
cold. Watching I Love Lucy or something.
Yeah.
Did y'all pay for that trip at all? Did poor Jimmy?
No, we didn't
Did
pay
poor
for it.
Jimmy
It was
Rain
paid
have to
for.
go? Poor Jimmy Rain had to go in his
We were
pocket.
coaches. We were coaches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were selling wood.
Yeah, that's right. Y'all were on the committee. Y'all were trying to make Jimmy's company better. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell you this. I've really enjoyed you on television. I think you've done a simple job of getting people who know a little bit about football, but not a lot, of understanding what the offense and defense are doing. So I'm not telling you this because you're on our show. You'd probably be on the show whether I told you that or not. But I've enjoyed you a great deal. You've been very good. I liked you. I've really liked you, and I like Tony Romo's done a good job. So
yeah, I took a different approach. I just told him I'm going to go from coach's perspective and try to keep it simple. I'm not an exciting talker and any of those things. I lived next door neighbor in Lubbock, Texas was Coach Knight, Bobby Knight,
Yeah.
and he started doing TV, and I thought he was a lot like he wasn't playing. He just got up and told what the kids were doing, what the coaches were trying to do, and I've kind of taken the same approach.
Barry's going to ask you some things about Alabama. I want to ask you this. Tell me, or tell our listeners how because I'm not sure it's as good, how the league has changed as you do the SEC now compared to when you coached.
Well, it's a lot more complex. They're starting to run all these spread offenses. And even Nick's drank the water, He drank the Kool-Aid and started running. Of course, you got a quarterback like his, I'd run it too, and that's what's most important. If you're going to run the spread offense, you've got to have a quarterback, and you got to be able to move and make a big play out of a bad play, because these offenses are much more simple. They're not as complex, and the quarterback can't get in the right, protection. Don't protect the quarterback. It's just we've not. I'm not going to say dumbed it down. I like the spread offense, but it's not as complex for the players. They're not as evolved as much. Coaches are involved. So that being said, there's not as many quarterbacks to go around. I mean, obviously Nick's got a couple now. It'll be against Lofton, had 2 running quarterbacks with all that other talent he's got. And then if you look across the realm of the conference, most of these other quarterbacks are just one-dimensional, either can run or just can throw. Auburn's, for instance, I think he's going to be a good quarterback. Everybody's complaining about, their passing game, but heck, he's only played 4 or 5 games and been out of football for a couple of years, but he can't make the big play out of a play that's broken down. So that's pretty much what's happened. Wimp, I've done a lot of the SEC games, and there's kind of like 3 tiers of teams. You've got Alabama, and then you've got, I think, Auburn and Georgia, and probably Florida and Texas A&M, and then you got everybody else. And it's not very good from the middle part down. It's really not. The defenses aren't very good. The offenses aren't very good. It's just it's not very good football in some areas, but the upper part of it is very good.
Yeah. We're talking with Coach Tommy Tuberville. Jalen Hurts gets a lot of criticism around here. I don't know why. They say he's not a good passer. Just break down Jalen Hurts, and I think the guy should be in the Heisman talk. He only plays half the game because they're so far ahead. Just what do you think about Jalen Hurts, Coach Tuberville?
Well, yeah, I'm just shocked at how well he's done. Not that he's not a good athlete. It's just he came from nowhere. I've told people this, and just again, my opinion don't count. It's like all of us ex-coaches. But I thought Alabama going into the season last year after watching them was a 10-2 team, 9-3 team, and all of a sudden they bring this freshman in, and Jalen Hurts. And again, he didn't do anything flashy. He doesn't look like he's a linebacker. It looks like playing quarterback, and he's very athletic. He is tougher than nails. He never You never see him change an expression. And he took them to the championship and almost won the national championship as a true freshman with basically breaking plays. And I remember when they're playing LSU, it's tied in the third quarter or somewhere like that, and they're struggling to score points. And it looked like Nick's trying to set up a field goal around the 35-yard line, and he runs a quarterback draw to get the ball in the middle of the field. Well, he runs 35 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah.
They couldn't catch him. And that's what quarterbacks in the spread do. If you're good at, if you're lucky, Cam Newtons and those kind of guys, you just take the game over because it's just your athletic ability. But I like him. I think he should be right now on the Heisman watch. A lot of people don't, as you said, they don't count him in the Heisman watch because he's not flashy, but he wins games. And I think the Heisman Trophy winner should be a guy that helps his team, and he is obviously the guy that's really the catalyst to that offense and really the defense because they score a lot of points and it makes it a lot easier for the defense.
Yep, that.
If the opportunity arose, would you have any interest in being athletic director, say at Ole Miss, Auburn, or somewhere like that?
My wife and I, Wimp, I got out last year. I wanted to move back south, and I've got 10 years left in me. I'm just in the early 60s, and so we said we'd move down south to Lake Martin and kind of figure out what we're going to do. And so I give the thought of the governor deal. I didn't think about that too long, but thought about that, and this TV thing come on. But I'd like to be on a campus, and I've had some people call me and see if I was interested in possibly coach again, and I could. I might do it at the right situation, or being an administrator. I like the college, the circles. I'm a people type of guy. I've got a lot of experience, and I'd like to help some university, but I just don't know what direction is going to take me. I'll know probably in the next 4 or 5 months. But to answer your question, I'd like to do something on a campus in some form or fashion.
Okay, we'd like to have you. Barry?
Yeah, we're talking to Coach Tommy Tuberville. Coach Nick Saban, when Mal Moore went and hired him, I think he thought he was really, really good. He gave him $4 million a year, no buyout, but I don't think anybody envisioned him being this good. Not a lot, but several other schools get 4- and 5-star recruits. They seem to select the right ones, but they do such a great job in player development, handling discipline, game prep, getting ready for each game. Is he just way ahead of everybody else? Just kind of talk about what Nick's done here.
Well, what Nick's done is, again, I watched it from a couple of hours away there for about 10, 12 years. And, it's Alabama is no different than a lot of other schools in the SEC and in football. You got a lot of people like to get involved in it, and Wimp can tell you that. And Nick was, I think, fortunate that he came in, and Mal Moore, I knew Mal for forever, and that was a great hire. But the ones before that, I just think weren't strong enough. But Nick came in the right situation and basically said, y'all want to get this done? Get out of my way. I'm running it. And he's not a coach. He's a manager. I mean, I say that, Nick is a coach. But he, as you said, he is all facets of what they do there at Alabama. They've given him full reign, and he's taken full advantage. Of course, you got to have it. It's a good opportunity. Alabama's obviously a good opportunity to have success, but a lot of other people have not had it. And he took the bull by the horn. He's very organized. He has great work ethic, and he understands how to evaluate. The number one thing, and Wimp will tell you this, number one thing about recruiting all these players is about recruiting guys that can play, not the stars behind their name or their name or anything like that. And I think they've done a better job than most of taking these 4 and 5 stars that can actually play. I know a lot of them that can't play over the years. They just don't pan out. But that's probably the thing that he's done the best. But really the best thing he's done is manage the whole entire program. Getting to championships is one thing. Keeping it there is harder.
Yeah.
And he's managed to do that. And he's a guy that's driven and understands it. And he has, of course, he's got bosses. He's got an athletic director and he's got a president. But they kind of understand, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. I'm getting out of his way. So I enjoyed it, but being an Auburn person, I didn't enjoy it. But I've enjoyed watching Nick and continue to change his ways. You know, 3-4 years ago now, he was complaining about the spread offense, about how we run into too many plays, you know, the safety of players, and we've got to huddle, and we've got to slow this thing down. Well, guess who's not huddling and running the spread now? Nick, because, I mean, he understood, hey, this is what I got to do to win. And so that's the challenge of a good coach, is to be able to make those changes as you grow in this profession, and he's obviously done that. But you win on defense, you win with running the football, and that's what he stuck with.
Yeah, I would imagine that Texas Tech was a booger bear to recruit to.
My goodness!
I mean, you're 5 million miles away from a human. If you got in a car and drove to Dallas or Houston, how long would it take you?
6.5 hours. And you know, the people are great. You know, I took a little flack. I said a few things, and I probably shouldn't have on a radio show, but they're great people. It's just you know this, Wimp. The ability to win is the ability to have recruits close to your campus. Yeah, you know, and fortunate in this state, in the whole state of Alabama, you've got Georgia on one side and Florida, and it's not that far a drive, and Mississippi, and there's a lot of good recruits, and it's not that way out there. You know, you're just a long ways away. What Mike Leach did when he was there was absolutely amazing, and we won games. And it's a tough situation because, you know, your number one priority is to be able to recruit players. Coaching is, as you well know, Wimp, is way overrated. It's the recruiting that gets you to the promised land, and it's just your hands are tied out there a little bit. But I tell you, it's been done. Spike Dykes did a good job, and I think this young guy out there now, Kingsbury, it's taken him a while because just understanding him, but he's got a good football team. You know,
Tennessee has gone, I think, 7 quarters without scoring on offense or defense, and I know you get
10, not 7.
Yeah, if you go into the conference room on Saturday afternoon after it's over with, trying to figure out, you know, how you could score a touchdown, and I kind of feel sorry, and I know Butch never dreading. I don't know whether dreading it or not, but is there anything Tennessee can do to change themselves a little bit offensively in these last few games?
Well, I went and did their game last week against South Carolina. I spent about an hour and a half with Butch in his office. They got the facilities up there now. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable what they've done, and of course they've got the fan base. It's just what we talked about earlier. You know, the recruiting base is a little bit tougher because of the distance they have to travel. But what they've done is, I think it's going to be a little bit better game than what people think. They took their athletic quarterback. They benched the guy that was a drop back guy, Dorman. They put Jarrett Garantano at quarterback last week for the first time. He started against South Carolina. Now, they didn't score touchdowns, but they did move the ball the first half. And he's going to give them a better chance against Alabama of just making a big play out of a bad play. And now, whether he can do it, you know, it's harder to do it against an Alabama defense because they've got 11 guys on defense that run like cornerbacks. You know, they're fast, and that's what makes a defense. So, Butch is he's behind the 8 ball. He knows that. He's a good guy. He's really changed Tennessee. They've had 3 winning seasons in a row, and they had 5 losing seasons before he got there. And but you know how fans are. You know, they want to win, and as I told them up there, just relax, enjoy your season. And at the end of the year, if, you know, if the athletic director thinks, you know, they're not going in the right direction, they'll make a change. But you know, all these fans jumping up and down, it's just amazing. You know, they want the immediate satisfaction, and I understand that everybody's passionate, especially in this conference. But you know, don't ruin your season, but you know, getting your drawers and ruffled up just because something's not going the right way. But it's going to be tough. Tennessee's they're not great on defense. They're good. I think they're solid. They're more physical than some of the teams. Their offense, again, they've got a couple of receivers. Marquez Callaway, wideout, is big, physical, and if you can get him the ball. But again, it's going to be all about the quarterback against Alabama making some plays when there's not one there.
Coach, it's probably I don't know if it's a fair question or not, but why, in your opinion, the SEC is spending more money, making more money than they ever have? To me, I don't think I've ever seen it as down as it is. And I think we'd have to go down maybe each individual school and maybe, you know, give a reason as to why. But as a whole, Why is the SEC not any better? Is it the coaching's not as good as it used to be? What is it, Coach?
Well, I think it's coaching experience.
Yeah.
And I blame it a lot on a lot of the athletic directors. These athletic directors now are bean counters, and they don't, they're not coaches. They don't know a lot about the coaching side of it. And they make all this money, and they spend a couple $100,000 on a search firm hiring their coach for them, and then they try to win the press conference by hiring the flavor of the year who won games somewhere that doesn't really make any difference. You got to hire somebody that can run your program and not somebody else's program. And so I think there's a lot of good coaches out there, and not that there's not in the SEC. There's some good ones, but there's some guys that's been brought in from other conferences that you want to be an SEC coach. It's a little different, and they're finding it out. And the philosophy that you got to have when you come to this league, and recruiting and coaching, and how tough it is, and you got to be thick-skinned. But man, it's just I've been amazed at what some of these athletic directors have done in terms of putting their teams and their schools in jeopardy in terms of the buyouts of guys that were never in the league. And so it's just it's just amazing to me. But again, you got to learn. But athletic directors have to stand behind their coaches, and fans have to stand behind their coaches. It's not their fault that it takes more than 3 or 4 years to learn the lay of the land of how to recruit and how to coach in the SEC. It is a total different animal. And I tell people that, but, it's just, that, Wimp. It's just totally different.
Yeah, I appreciate so much, Barry, and I appreciate so much you being on. Who you got this week?
I go to Blacksburg, Virginia, and got North Carolina, who's really not very good. 1-6. Yeah, they beat up. They lost 16 for the year, and then playing a very good Virginia Tech team. So
beautiful campus up there. I've been up there many a time and played. Blacksburg is a beautiful place.
Yeah,
it's
they got a good basketball coach up there. What's his name?
Yeah, Buzz
Williams.
Yeah, Buzz
Williams.
He's
done a good job.
He's done a great job.
I said, hey, thanks, Tommy. We appreciate it.
Great stuff, Coach. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys.
Thank you.